mpaka kukiwa kuzuri unashindwa nini mbaya. Machozi ya perpetrator inaweza dilute damu ya victim ilimwagika. After all is said and done.
Thank you for joining us for yet another good episode of the Heroism Courage series under the Pawa Podcast. I'm your host, Joy Mala.
And I'm your co-host, Gloria Machete. And with us, we have our guest for today, the former Chief Justice of the Republic, Dr. Willy Mutunga. And just to give you a brief introduction, Dr. Willy Mutunga is a Kenyan lawyer, intellectual, and reform activist. He is the retired Chief Justice of Kenya and President of the Supreme Court of Kenya. He was a lecturer at the University of Nairobi in the 1970s and 80s, and his activism was associated with a group of academics who identified with Marxist/socialist ideologies, including Ngugi wa Thiong'o, Alamin Mazrui, Kamonji Wachira, and Maina Wakanyati. He worked with the country's pro-democracy advocates, which included, among others, Paul Mwite, James Orengo, Kiraitu Murungi, Gitobu Imanyara, and Raila Odinga, most of who went into active politics, forming the formation of the Forum for the Restoration of Democracy in Kenya in 1992. Dr. Willy was chairman of the non-governmental Kenya Human Rights Commission, which he also later served as executive director. KHRC supported the formation and existence of organizations such as Kituo cha Sheria and the Public Law Institute. He's also served on various boards of organizations internationally, including the Buffalo Human Rights Center at the University of Buffalo Law School and the State University of New York. He was vice chairman of the Law Society of Kenya from 1991 to 1993 and chairman from 93 to 95. And he helped to launch LSK into activist politics, making it appear as a formidable opposition. As the Chief Justice, he left the judiciary more independent and humane, and one that has defended the Constitution and exponentially expanded access to justice. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Willy.
Thank you.
Karibu sana. So this is our 5th episode under the Heroism Courage series. So previously we've had a number of student guests, a number of political science students, some others in public policy and development from JKUAT, and we picked a few insights from them that we'd also like to hear your views on. So, for example, what came out really strongly during our previous discussion was that the Constitution of Kenya 2010, the 2010 Constitution is being undermined, and that the young people feel that this Constitution has not been given a chance really, and yet people in government are trying so hard to push forward for a referendum. What would your thoughts be on that?
I think they are right. The Constitution is being undermined. The Constitution has not been implemented. The evidence is overwhelming, all right?
Mm-hmm.
I've always said myself that the Constitution we have, I've always used the metaphor that, the Constitution birthed a beautiful baby, all right? But we gave it to child traffickers to bring it up. So a progressive Constitution cannot be implemented by people who don't believe in it, people who want to protect their material interests. So there's always a clawback.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take, for example, the imperial presidency, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Constitution, wanted to change that completely, because that's what we had since independence. With Kenyatta, with Moi, with Kibaki, and a president that was not accountable, totally corrupt. And if you look at the debates around democratizing and decentralizing presidential power, you get the evidence that that's what the country wanted to do, to basically change it. And we changed it in various ways. We changed it by the creation of devolution, right? To signal equitable distribution of resources, and also to signal equitable distribution of political power, all right?
Yeah.
And then we created institutions that were independent for checks and balances, all right? Making the judiciary independent, parliament independent, and then created Chapter 15 institutions that could actually, check this power, all right? And if you look at the constitution, the presidential power has really been limited, all right? And then when the implementation comes in, the first thing you see is that the president controls the central bank, controls security, controls treasury, all right?
Yeah.
And the whole issue of undermining devolution is very clear. We were also supposed to restructure the what was called the provincial administration, right? But what they did was to create two levels of power, which is very expensive. You have county coordinators, I don't know what they are called, commissioners, regional commissioners. The old provincial administration is working, parallel to, the county system. Not to mention that the counties have always been starved of, funds, while the imperial president has the lion's share of resources, okay? Still, the security, the financial, when you look at the constitutional provisions on security, for example, 238, they are supposed to operate within the rule of law, protect human rights, protect communities, but they just do the opposite, because what we have is a brutalized, security system that actually does not respect the rights of people. When it comes to borrowing, the borrowing hasn't reflected the constitutional provisions. So we have a situation here where the people want to amend the constitution, all right? But they are not telling us why they have not amended the constitution. A glaring example of that is this debate on the two-third gender rule. Okay, why haven't they implemented it? The court said do it by 15th of August, 2015. I think it was August 2015. That's what the Supreme Court said. I had argued that it should be immediate, but I was in the minority. But there was a deadline which was not met, all right? There are cases that basically say, not cases, court orders that say it has to be done, all right? It has been violated. So Parliament is unconstitutional, totally unconstitutional. And I hear the Chief Justice has advised the President to dissolve Parliament. The Constitution says the President shall dissolve Parliament, but the President will not dissolve Parliament. Okay, so how do you have a political leadership that is disobeying court orders, a political system that is deliberately violating all the provisions of the Constitution, have the nerve to say, so BBI is a fraud? Okay, it's again about what I call intra-elite struggles around succession. Right?
Yeah.
It's and the people should totally oppose it, particularly young people, because if we are going to change the constitution, we will be talking about you guys who didn't participate in the formation of the constitution. You are the ones who should be saying, wait a minute, these are our material needs, all right? We are not happy with the education. We are not happy with health. We are not happy with housing. We are not happy with, the right to work because of unemployment and so forth. So that's that one I would understand. But you cannot have people who have been given a chance to implement the constitution. They have subverted, that implementation. They continue to knock down institutions. Okay.
Yeah.
Which take for example this idea that the judiciary should not have money. All right. You look at the constitution. It says that executive power is derived from the people. Executive power is derived from, not executive, judicial power is derived from the people, and legislative power, and all these other powers, security, finance, everything. One people is the center of attention. Okay, so when one institution like parliament tells judiciary, we wouldn't give you money. Whose money is that? They are holding it in trust for Wanjiku, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So they cannot go and say, well, we won't give you this. Every resource in this country is held in trust, for the people of this country. Okay? Yeah. So when the COVID-19, what do? They demolish people's homes. They tell people who are very poor, wash your hands. Yeah. And the cartels that in Nairobi have denied people water, and we know that.
It's true.
Yeah, we know that. So they say, oh, you have to wear a mask. If somebody earns 200 shillings, do you think they're going to buy a mask for 100? Okay, they didn't even organize, in my view, what any government should do: coordinate resources so that it can feed people during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Instead, they have stolen. Okay, so these are not the people who should be telling us about amending the constitution. We've got to tell them, implement. Okay, implement, and we don't want this nonsense of 5 communities, the big 5. All right.
Yeah.
Not the animals, the communities. The ones I'm talking about.
It's true.
The Kambas, Luyas, and Kalenjin.
Kalenjin, yeah.
They don't own this country. Okay? And it's not about them to be coming around with alliances. How the country is going to be ruled. For heaven's sake, we are 44 communities now, all right? So my view is very, very, very clearly that I won't trust the political leadership that is there to implement the constitution. That's why I agree with a lot of youth movements that say, and this is what Gizuku and Ndugu Gizuku has a beautiful poem about this issue. He says we don't want implementation. We want political power to implement the constitution.
Yeah, as it should.
That's how it should be. If you allow them, you have seen how the police operate. I've seen the police operate that way from colonialism, post-colonialism. Okay, they haven't changed. Yeah. It's a machinery of violence that is controlled by the state. So I'm glad the young people are saying no. You just have to say no to this situation. And if they still go to referendum and they get which they'll rig, right?
Yes.
Go to IBC. The IBC is so discredited. all right? They have been rigging elections for a long time, all right? But you see, when they rig elections, that that has to do with these national elite. I don't have a problem, because both candidates are trying to steal, okay, and the one wins. So it's not. It's like two people going to gamble, all right, and they know they want to steal from each other. One wins because they control the state, and then they trip to the Supreme Court saying, oh, my votes were stolen, and they don't say they're trying to steal. The electoral system is problematic there, all right? IEBC cannot carry out free, fair, and credible referendum. It's a setup. It's a complete setup where people want to continue ruling this country, exploiting the country, creating these huge debts and so forth. Okay, and that's how I see it. It's up to the young people to wake up and basically resist this.
I think it is interesting that the points you bring forward were actually captured when you had the students in studio, because the issues about elections, a lot of them were very confident in saying that they do not feel like their votes will ever count if we still remain under the same regime that we have right now. So even chances of them voting in future elections are slim, because they have really no trust in the government and the process, and they feel like the democratic process in Kenya has really been undermined and stepped upon. Like, we really don't have a democracy.
No, we don't have. And in any case, the law was that there should be continuous registration of young people, all right? So how many young people of 18 who have no IDs and who have no, right to vote?
Kukiwa kuzuri unashindwa nini mbaya? Machozi ya perpetrator inaweza dilute damu ya victim ilimwagika. After all is said and done, all will be said, nothing will be done.